Hello everyone and welcome back to FantasyFootballFix.com. My name is Eddie or FPL Phillips and welcome back to the latest edition of Eddie versus the Algorithm, the series where every week the computer-generated team puts itself together, seeing if it can outscore a side of my own, which I put together with a free hit draft in each game week. We're currently a very close score of 13, also stay tuned to see who takes the lead this game week. But before we get into it, do make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel if you haven't already. Do drop a thumbs up as well if you do enjoy the video, and if you want to, you can tickle that notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But let's get into it and have a quick recap of who came out on top in Game Week 25. And unfortunately for me anyway, but it's good for the algorithm, is that the team actually did rather well last game week, scoring a total of 88 points. And it did well in this despite a few quite obvious blaring factors that I did pick up on last week's video, and the main one of which being Manchester City rotation ahead of the Champions League game. And now this was expected and did come out to be called true. I put Cancelo in my side as well just to be safe, but the algorithm went with Laporte and Cancelo at the back, both who missed out in the game at the weekend. However, on the upside, the algorithm had some decent reinforcements coming in. It was Jacob Ramsey in midfield, who only managed a 1 point. Holgate at the back, grabbing a 6-point score, was not bad at all, and took the algorithm total to way over the average for the game week. Sanchez and Cucurella came through, as you would expect, with that clean sheet against Watford. Luke Shaw as well did actually start both games in the end, so yeah, actually didn't seem to be too much between him and Diogo Dalot. And then the captaincy, there wasn't very much in it at all, but Cristiano Ronaldo did turn out to be the slightly wrong choice in the end, with Bruno picking up that second goal to end the hopes of Brighton at Old Trafford in the 97th minute. Elsewhere, there wasn't too much to note. Neil Maupay scored that magnificent strike, if you can call it that, or maybe you think it was a fluke. Either way, a nice 8-point haul for him, and elsewhere, just a few maybe here scores and whatnot. Jarrod Bowen, you've got to say, it's almost becoming consistency that he gets over 10 points, so it almost seems inevitable that he's going to be looking at a score like a 13-pointer, and yeah, me and the algorithm both kept him in our sides, which was well justified for this game week. And it's going to be a tough one to see if we're going to be dropping him ahead of his single game week fixture in game week 26, when so many teams are doubling. But let's see if I manage to beat this magnificent score of 88, and am I going to make it 14-13 to me, or is the algorithm going to take the lead in this series? And in the end, fine margins did in fact make the difference, with myself scoring 87 points to the algorithm's 88, so only 1 point in it. But we did manage to get a few key things right. Not going with the Man City double up in defence turned out to be a positive. I just didn't quite have the stomach in me to go without Cancelo if he didn't play. Perhaps I should have had some stronger reinforcement on the bench, but it was some decent players coming in instead. I thought Elise would have had a nice chance of getting something, but unfortunately we do know now for sure he is a minutes concern, only getting that 1 pointer. Jacob Ramsey also only picking up the 1 point was a little disappointing, but yeah, we had Jarrod Bowen, the same kind of players who did manage to return big, and then Dalot's 8 points to Luke Shaw's 7 was a minor benefit, with Trent Alexander-Arnold being the one I could have had a bit of hope for, but he only managed the same as Hoyton Holgate's score of 6 points, so yeah, it really was the game week of fine margins, and in that way, a few small errors here and there meant we didn't manage to take the win this week, and it is 14-13 to the algorithm, so I've got a point to prove in game week 26. But now we've got to move on to the bit that you're most interested in. We're going to reveal the algorithm team for double game week 26, meaning the best players for this double game week that you can pick up based on the projected points totals of FantasyFootballFix.com over the next one game week. So let's get into it and have a look at the revealed team for game week 26. So let's get into it then and see what the Game Week 26 Algorithm 11 is saying, and it's a whopping predicted points total of 139. So if you took one game week and it was 70 points and you doubled it, that's what this game week is. That's how high the ceilings are for double game weeks, 139 points. It literally is a double game week, double what you'd expect from a regular game week. And in goal for the algorithm, it's going to be Jose Sarr, and I'm a little bit surprised there not to see Aaron Ramsdale between the sticks. But thinking about it, you can see it as a very attractive proposal, to be honest. With Arsenal having quite a few outfield prospects if you're on a free hit, or even if you're just looking to bring them in for their nice spell of fixtures from game week 28 onwards, albeit given that you need to use the free hit in 27 in order to avoid their blank there, going for someone like Jose Sarr in goal could allow you to get 3 outfield Arsenal players where you may see them more upside than going for Ramsdale in goal. But Wolves have equally looked very good at the back, and Jose Sarr this season, we've shown how well he has been playing. He's looked fantastic. He's picking up points left, right and centre, and really has been flying under the radar overall over the course of these first 25 game weeks. He's picking up a lot of points for his owners, and Wolves have looked very good at the back, keeping a lot of clean sheets, and there's potential there for maybe even 2 in this game week if they can play their cards right. Wolves, after picking up another one last game week against Spurs in their 2-0 win. In defence, it's going to be a back 5, which we've not seen for a while. Kieran Tierney and Gabriel, 2 of those outfield Arsenal players who I did think would probably be making it in here. Kieran Tierney is the most obvious one to go for, in my opinion, with Gabriel being a bit of a differential in there too. His underlying stats do look very good, as was highlighted by TC in yesterday's FPL Stats Fix video, so go and check that out if you haven't already. It's a great watch for some lunchtime viewing. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Semedo and Ben Mee also make up the rest of the back 5, completing a double up in terms of the Wolves back line. Ben Mee coming in for Burnley's fixtures against Tottenham and Brighton, which don't look too shabby in terms of clean sheet potential either. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is the most obvious defensive pick of this game week, and I'm assuming that most people have in their teams already. If you don't have him somehow, then you need to make sure that Trent is probably in your team for those games against Leeds and Norwich at home. His captaincy potential, or maybe even triple captaincy potential if you're going there, so he needs to be in your side. In midfield then, it's going to be the other 2 Liverpool players who make up the triple up that is essential for this game week, with Mane and Salah completing that trio. Rafinha also makes it into the midfield with arguably the most contrasting fixtures to Liverpool's games against Leeds and Norwich. Liverpool away and Man United at home for Leeds in this game week, which isn't really the most concerning thing about Rafinha in my opinion. What I'd be most concerned about is the fact that he was hooked at half-time by Bielsa, and this wasn't even injury related. Bielsa said that Rafinha was having a bad game and that he needed to come off, and so he was taken off at the 45-minute mark, which I say is pretty concerning. When looking at the bench there, and Harrison and Sarr are there too, as well as Josh King, I'd maybe even rather start one of those ahead of Rath, as there's potential that he maybe won't even start this next game upcoming, and even if so, if he has another bad game, could he be hooked early once more, and then maybe not start the second game of the 2? There could be bad potential there. And then there's players like Jared Bowen, who, albeit has a single game week in such good form against a weak side like Newcastle, there is an argument there where a single player, like a player with a single game week rather, has a better potential for points than a player with a double game week. But yeah, up front then, let's see who's in the front 2. It's going to be Alexandre Lacazette and Raul Jimenez, who I did think are some nice looking picks. I wasn't sure if the algorithm was going to see those underlying stats and see the potential for points, but it clearly has. Lacazette with Wolves and Brentford, who completes that Arsenal triple up that I assumed was going to happen outfield. There's some nice fixtures there, albeit some 2 pretty strong defences over the course of the season on average, Wolves and Brentford. I can see some nice upside for having Arsenal players in, and he looks the pick of the attackers. Lacazette, him and Saka seem to be the main ones to go for. And then Raul Jimenez, who recently got back into goal scoring form. Could that be the kick he's needed to get himself back to those old consistent ways for the Mexican? We shall see. I suppose only time will tell. But this side has a predicted points total of 139. Really does make me jealous of any free hit players. But if you're looking for a free hit side, look no further really than this, or maybe even my side, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But before we do that, we need to have a look at the captaincy, and unsurprisingly, it is on the Egyptian king Mohamed Salah, who picked up a goal in the UCL, which should be good for his confidence, having not looked very involved in Liverpool's last 2 games outside of that last minute finish. So yeah, Mohamed Salah looking back on goal scoring ways now, and that is a really, really big confidence boost for owners and himself probably for those games upcoming against Leeds and Norwich, where hopefully he should get a very good amount of minutes. But yeah, we can all, fingers crossed, touch wood, all that stuff. We seem to be majoritarily in the same boat in terms of all flipping the captaincy or even the triple captaincy on Mohamed Salah. Of course, the predicted points total is without the triple captaincy. If we were to add that on, it would be even higher. But let's get into having a look at Eddie's 11 now and see how this differs to the algorithm team. And let me know down below in the comments when we see it which team you do prefer out of the two. So this is what I've gone for to try and get back on track with a win and even it up to 14 all apiece. And my team's only got a predicted points total of 125, so 14 less than the algorithm for this game week, which I'd have to say is quite a substantial margin, to be honest. There's a few changes here and there that I'm not 100% confident in making, but I want to take a few risks to try and make sure that my team, first of all, isn't exactly the same as the algorithms, and second of all, I can hopefully beat it in relatively convincing fashion if I do manage to pick up the win. I have actually gone back and put Ramsdale in goal ahead of Jose Sarr, and that's partly because I wanted to bring in Romain Seist in defence, who I think has got some great potential for attacking returns. He obviously has been away at AFCON, so his underlying stats going a little bit under the radar and could be a great pick in my opinion. I haven't doubled up then, I've gone with Ramsdale in goal instead. I wasn't really too sold on Gabriel, I was instead looking more so at Saka in midfield as an option to go alongside Tierney and Lacazette, who are my two favoured outfield Arsenal picks, but that is the Arsenal triple up that I did end up on. I've also taken Sadio Mane out to bring in Heung-min Son in midfield, and that's led to an upgrade in Robertson in defence, who I do think is my favourite Liverpool triple up. I don't know why, I've just got a weird feeling about Sadio Mane, but equally, he could go gun-ho and even end up outscoring his African counterpart, Mohamed Salah, in this game week if he can play his cards right. But there are minutes concerns. I know that Jota's got that injury, which meant that I wasn't going to risk going for him and could mean more minutes for Mane in that regard. But there's Luis Diaz as well, who is breathing down the wing, the left wing spot of Sadio Mane that he's currently occupying. Up front, we've added Weghorst into the attack and gone with a front three, which how bad strikers are performing at the moment seems like a pretty stupid idea on paper. But I do think that Weghorst could be a great pick, and I know he's got that injury worry. And there's some interview quotes that have seemed to not mention any injury to Weghorst. I'm hoping that means that he is actually fit and okay to play. You should know by the time the press conferences come out, so keep an eye on those, of course. But I've put Jared Bowen down there on the bench at first sub to cover, just in case, who, as I mentioned, is that single game week player who I do think could outscore quite a lot of the double game week players this week. Zaha's coming in midfield as a little bit of a punt as well. Of course, I can't go for Conor Gallagher because he would be playing against his parent club Chelsea, which he is ineligible to do so. And I haven't gone for Edouard or Elise, as they both, in my opinion, are not going to get the right amount of minutes to see them as potential double game week asset players. They're probably only going to play the equivalent of one normal game week, if maybe a little bit more. But that is pretty much the bulk of the changes. It's meant that points total in terms of predicted points down 14 points, which I think is probably a little bit harsh, but we've got some decent cover on the bench if need be, as usual. The Guehi as well as Jared Bowen, who I mentioned is really that cover for Weghorst should he be out for these next two games. But yeah, that's going to wrap up Eddie versus the algorithm for this week. Let me know whose side you do prefer down below in the comments. I read every single one and reply to them all, so make sure to leave your feedback as well, just in terms of video quality as well. If you've got any constructive feedback that you'd like to leave, I'm also very interested to hear all of that as well. But once again, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here. Do drop a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you all in the next one, after wishing you the best of luck for this upcoming game week. I will see you soon. Goodbye.